Welcome, everyone, to the Author Spotlight podcast, where authors discuss books and book writing in general. We're hosted by yourauthorhub.com, and our guest today is Anthony Ferguson, and he's going to be talking about karate, all different kinds of styles in his latest book. And I just want to say welcome to you, Anthony, and I can't wait to hear more about karate. So tell us a little bit after I tell them a little bit about who you are. You're an eighth degree. I don't know anything about the different degrees, or you have different degrees in black belt. And one of them is your specialty is Shorin Ryu. I think I had it at the beginning. So I want to know about all those. And you've been studying and teaching the martial arts for 44 years. That is impressive. And you've been inducted into the Hall of Fame for karate. That's just, I'm just totally so impressed, and you've won awards. And so let's just we want to welcome you today, Anthony, and tell us about how you got started with karate.
Okay. Well, thank you, Cynthia, for taking the time to interview me today. I greatly appreciate it. Growing up in Miami, Florida, as a young kid back in the 70s, everybody watched Bruce Lee movies. Those were the kung fu movies that came out, and I was just fascinated with it. I would spend days, actually weekends, with my brother in the theater just watching those movies. And that's kind of how I got started with it. And one day coming from home, I was a bad accident happened to me. I was assaulted by two bigger guys that was probably about 13 years old. And these guys were maybe about 19 or 20. I was riding my bike home, and all of a sudden they snatched me off my bike and slammed me to the pavement, and they stole my gold chain. And that was a wake up moment for me. So after that occurred, I said that I'm going to get into martial arts. I'm going to learn how to defend myself. And one day I was riding on the bus, and it just stopped in front of a karate school. I heard them kicking and screaming and doing the blocks and punching all that stuff. So I just, something told me just to get off and watch the class. And after watching the class for about an hour, I asked the instructor, how much would it be to start? And he told me, and the next week I started it, and I never looked back.
Wow. That's a very inspiring story. I love, not that you were assaulted as a child, but you took something from it and went forward with your life instead of becoming a victim, which I'm not speaking against people who've been abused or anything like that, but I love that you rose up and you decided you was going to do something with a bad situation. And so you started. How old were you at that point?
I was 14 at that point. This was in 1980 in Miami, Florida.
Okay.
And I
Okay.
started with Sensei Moses Cologne. Sensei is instructor. That's how we pronounce the instructor in Japanese. I started with him and his brother, Sensei Benny Cologne. They had a school in Miami on Northwest 7th Avenue, 99th Street. And I just came back the next week, like I said again, and started it. It was a big school. There's over 40 students, and everybody had on their gi, the uniform, and they
Mhm.
were kicking and punching and doing their thing. And I said, that's what I want to learn. And I
Yeah.
just went through all of the different phases of it. It's hard workout. I would go 3 nights a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And then they would have class also on the weekends too, Saturday. And dojo, which is the training hall, it became like a family because everybody there, they trained together. Sensei
Mhm.
became like a father to me. We would go out on the weekends. He would take us to the skating rink. We would go out and have ice cream. We would go camping and that sort of thing. So it really, became just more of karate, but like a family type environment. And I enjoyed the training, hard training.
So it became, like you said, a part of your family, but it also instilled a family and a sense of belonging, and it gave you a purpose. It sounds like it was more than just. And I'm not a little boy. I was never a little boy, but I have grandsons, and they're always chopping and grunting and groaning. And I always think, they need to get something to wear off that energy, but also a way to funnel
Yes.
that and get some good skills. Like I said, I think karate of um, discipline
Yes,
involved,
yes,
right?
yes, it
How
does.
long does it take you to get from the beginning to
Uh,
moving on to the different stages?
yeah, so I started off as white belt, and there's different set of requirements that you have to do in order to progress to the next belt. So next belt was yellow belt. I had to be able to demonstrate how to throw a punch correctly, how to throw a block, how to throw a kick, how to throw a strike, and breaking boards and stuff like that, different requirements like that. Um, and then do the first form, or kata, which is called. And once I passed the first belt, it normally takes about 3 weeks. I'm sorry, 3 months each test. And so the different belts are white belt beginner, then yellow belt, then orange belt, green belt, red belt, brown belt, and black belt. Once you become a black belt, then you start going up in degrees. First degree black belt, second, third, all the way to 10th degree black belt. That's the highest. Each one of the belts has different set of requirements that you have to pass in order to get promoted to the next belt, and they're tough.
I had no idea. I really didn't. For some reason, I was thinking there were four. You can tell I don't know anything. And
Okay.
so not only I thought when you got to the black belt, you were at the top, and
No.
how interesting that you can go all to the different degrees. And so
Yeah.
we also know from your information that you submitted to me that there are different styles of karate.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about those?
Yes, ma'am, I will. So once again, with the black belt, I just added one more thing, is that the different level of black belts, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, all the way to 10th. When you're at a fourth degree black belt, you consider a master black belt. And then 8th, 9th, and 10th, you consider a grandmaster black belt. So in karate, they have belts, and kung fu, they have what's called sashes. So it's a little different. The different styles, there's very different styles of martial arts out there. I mean, thousands of styles, and everyone say they're the best. I don't believe in that. I believe in the individual that's practicing the style. My
What a great
style,
point.
yes, my style is called Shorin Ryu, Matsubashi Ryu. It's originally from Okinawa, Japan. So any style with a RYU at the end of it, those are some of the traditional styles. The Shorin Ryu, Goju Ryu, Ishiru, styles like that. Karate came from Okinawa, and then it migrated to Japan. Found one of the grandmaster Jinshin Funakoshi. He started teaching karate in the Japanese school, and then spread throughout the world.
Hmm. That's interesting. So, do all the forms come from Japan, or were they adopted into other countries?
They started in different countries in the Far East and Asia. You heard of Taekwondo style.
Mhm.
Mostly, anyone that talks about karate is, oh, you study Taekwondo? No, Taekwondo is not the only style. I have black belts in Shorin Ryu. My instructor, that was his favorite style that he taught, but he also taught Goju Ryu. So I'm an 8th degree black belt in Shorin Ryu. I am a 5th degree black belt in Goju Ryu. And then we work with swords also, the traditional weapons, like the
Mhm.
nunchuck, the sword, the bow, the sai. And I have a 2nd degree black belt in the Kubodo, which is the weapon style.
Wow, that's really interesting. So, you wrote a book. So, tell us about your book. I can see your passion for karate, and tell us about your book. I think do you have a copy of your book with you? I think right there
I
you
do.
showed it to me earlier.
I do.
Let me
I
see your book. Awesome. My Life in the Art of Shorin, and then we're Shorin Ryu. It's the
do.
karate. I love that. Is that a new book for you?
This is first work, by the way. First time.
Okay, awesome.
Yes. So,
So
the-
let's talk about why you were inspired to write the book.
yes, ma'am. The book is called My Life in the Art of Shorin Ryu Matsubashi Ryu Karate. That's the complete name of it.
Mhm.
Um, I always wanted to write a book, and when I look back on how much I accomplished over the years, I started in 1980. I'm still doing it right now. It's over 44 years. I said I need to stop for a minute and just kind of like write this stuff down, because I never knew that I would be able to do all of this. I started it just thinking, hey, I want to learn how to defend myself. And here it is, 44 years later, I've accomplished all of this. So I said that to my wife, I'm going to write a book. And she said, yeah, yeah, of course, you're going to do it, whatever. So that was my inspiration, because she heard of a lot of people. My wife, Kathy Ferguson, she's a school teacher, and she hears a lot of people saying that they're going to write a book, they're going to do this, they're going to do that, but it never take the time and actually do it. So when
Right.
she said that, I actually said, I'm going to prove her that I'm going to do it. So I
Yeah.
sat down, just start taking some time and you know, just writing in, putting all my thoughts together from the time, I began to present and found a good publisher and went on ahead and, you took care of it and got it published. And then I brought it to her. I said, remember that book I said I was going to write? There it is.
So, I think what's really fascinating, because I'm an author myself, is that the writing a book takes discipline and
Yeah.
karate takes discipline. What other kinds of things do you think that karate's brought into your life?
It has allowed me to be able to set goals, to have self awareness of what's going on. As you know, there's a lot of crazy things, a lot of crazy people out there in the world.
Mhm.
And I tried, as you become a black belt, the story is that your journey has just begun. Some kids or some people, when they make it to that level of black belt, it's, oh, I've already achieved everything. I can quit now and move on to it. And most people don't stay in karate, that long. As you become a
Mhm.
black belt, my instructor taught me that now it's time to give back what you learned, give back to the community and start again. And so martial art has taught me discipline, respect, honor. It has allowed me to stay focused on my task, you know, um, allow me to travel around the world to achieve a lot. And mainly, like I said again, it's just to give back to the community, to help these kids, find a better way other than getting in trouble in school or dealing with a bully or something like that. Being aware of what's going on around them and being safe.
I love that. And I think so many of the things, about honor and respect and self-awareness are such great principles and things that we all need to learn. Hopefully when we're young, but at any stage in our life, that those are tools and principles that can help us through anything that we endeavor to do. So
Correct.
I really appreciate that. So what are some of the challenges that you had to overcome in the midst of your book writing and in the midst of your karate career?
Well, in my karate career, one of the big challenges was I was shy. I was very shy growing up. I didn't like talking to in front of a crowd or anything like that. And the challenge again was, as you know, going to school, everybody would pick on you, to be a bully or something like that. And they would have fights. Of course, I grew up in Miami. Went to Miami Northwestern, and of course, every Friday for whatever reason there was a fight. Someone would pick on you. So hey, someone picked on me on the fight. I knew at that point, hey, to leave early from school, not to stay around. But I learned how to stand up for myself and be able to defend myself. I've been in martial arts for a long time. I never had to actually use it on someone. I was able to stand up and say, "Hey, you don't want to go that route with me or whatever." And that kind of like deterred them not to bother with me, whatever. And your question was about the writing. Um,
Hmm. Yes.
I started. One of the challenges was pretty much just looking back and remembering where I started from and where I am now. So I wanted to write the book to just tell the whole story. Kids, mostly anyone that's in karate or not in karate, they can look at this book and they see, hey, if you have a goal in mind, if there's something that you want to do, don't quit when it gets hard. Continue to work towards it and do your best, work hard and achieve it, and it'll come to you. But if you give up on it, it will never come to you.
Wow, that right there is gold. What a nugget. If we could just impart that to people, not to give up, because winds will come against us and we have to put our face to the wind and we just have to keep working through it. I really do love that. So, you've got involved in a lot of accomplishments. Let's talk a little bit about being inducted into the Hall of Fame. What is that? How does that work? That just sounds
Oh my
totally
goodness.
awesome.
That was an awesome experience for me. In 2017, I met Grandmaster John Terry. He's the president of the United States Martial Arts Hall of Fame. My wife and I, we had some discussions, and he wanted to know about my career in martial arts. I told him I've been with my instructor, Hanchi Moses Galone and Benny Galone. They were the only instructors that taught me martial arts, and that's kind of rare and it speaks itself because people sometimes they bounce around from school to school to school, and but since Moses has been with me, I've been with him the whole time, and so he got in contact with him and found out the truth and everything like that, and said, okay, hey, this guy is legitimate. He has been my student. He has helped me with the school. He has helped other students to move on. And I relocated from Miami at one point and moved to Savannah, Georgia, and opened up a school there as well and taught hundreds of students. And they moved on to become successful police officer, a lawyer, pastor, folks like that in this career path. And I relocated back home to Miami in 2010 and opened up a school down here and still teach kids, the traditional martial arts, teach them to be aware, teach them just because you're learning martial arts, don't want to go out there and use it and pick a fight. That's
Right.
not what it's about. It's about having self-defense and having control and having be able to talk yourself out of a situation. I'm involved right now with a school program, after school program. So I have five middle school sites that I work with from grade K1 to 5, over 140 students. And so I would go to this site on Tuesday, then the next site I'll go on Thursday. And it's the after school program, and I will work with the kids because, as you know, there's so much things going on in the school right now. People are shooting kids, there's
Yeah.
bullying, this whole nine. So try to teach the kids about safety and being aware and being successful in life. I talk to them about how I started, and I also tell them, hey, I was once a kid just like you. And believe it or not,
Yeah.
kids don't think that, So
Yeah.
yes, I had to go through the same challenge that you did. And so I
Yeah.
break it down for them to where they can actually understand and feel it. And we have a good time with it.
That's great. And making,
Oh, I
giving yourself to the community.
oh
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
So I'm sorry. So I didn't answer one of your questions. So you said
Nope, that's
about
okay.
the Hall of Fame induction. So we met with Sensei John Terry, and he got all the information that he needed from me um, to be inducted. And so in 2017, we went out to Houston, Texas. I believe it's in Houston, Texas, or San Antonio. And there was other people getting inducted as well. It's over 300 people getting inducted, so it was a big affair. And they had a training camp where the different black belts, high-ranking black belts, 8th, 9th, and 10th degree, they will train you on their style for 2 hours. And then another black belt will come and train you on weapons. Then another black belt will train you on something else, whatever. And you will fellowship with folks and get something out of the training. And then
Sure.
once that is over, then the next day would be the banquet, and you dressed up in your black tie affair, and then they call you up and they say a little, accolade about you, about your style and your studying the whole nine, and then they present you with your plaque and your ring to be inducted.
Wow.
Well,
So,
in 2017, I was inducted as a Black Belt of the Year. And then I went back again in 2018, and I was inducted with 35 years of training. And in 2019, I was inducted for my humanitarian efforts with working with the students, kids, and stuff like that, and keeping them out of the streets and school.
yeah. um the the piece about you giving back to the schools, first of all, let me stop for a second. Kudos to you, if that's a correct word, but hats off to you for your discipline and for the accolades, very well deserved. And also the giving back to the community. When your story of being bullied as a child so translates to the children of today, to be able to relate to them and to give back, and to teach them the goals and the principles and the disciplines that you've had to learn in the midst of karate yourself. to be able to impart those, so that maybe, that's what we all need to do, is we all need to give a hand to make a difference. And so this world can turn out differently when these kids grow up and they have their own self-awareness and their own self-security, and have the ability to look at things differently. So I just think that's wonderful. And I know that the community obviously has enjoyed it, or they wouldn't invite you into their school system. And
Right.
you're making a big impact there. That's what's such a great thing. So I want to talk about the book a little bit more. So how long has your book been out?
The book's been out since 2018.
Okay.
I wrote it right after I got inducted the first time, and
Okay.
like I said again, I went back and find out how I started the book, writing the book. I went back and just find a quiet place, and I write a little bit each day. Spend 2, 3 hours or 4 hours. I wrote little each day. I outlined the things that I wanted to talk about, like the first lesson, how I got started in karate, and then I expanded
Mhm.
on different things that occurred during the time, and then that big highlight of it, of course, was being inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And
So as an author, what do you think? What did you what's let me start over again. As an author, how do you think, writing a book, we have these ideas about how writing a book is going to go, and then you get done with your book, and then there's more steps. What surprised you, or what did you learn in the process of writing a book?
the, what surprised me is that it's never done, and that's it, because there's so much things. After I sat
Mhm.
down, wrote it, then I revised it a couple of times before I got it published. And in 2018, it was published. In 2020, I added more stuff to it. So more accomplishment that I made. Updated the book. Same thing. I just added more to the chapters and everything like that, and pictures and so forth, and things that I've done. And in 2022, I updated again. So each year, something else happened differently or whatever. In my career in martial arts, I just added it to the book. And
Right.
my wife asked me to write another book, so I do have another one in mind. This is more geared towards like adults or whatever you may want to say that.
Hmm.
She said a
Yeah.
kids book that's a little, not that much technical or whatever. That probably would be good as well. So I'm thinking about doing that soon, and also a book on traveling. So I have a couple more writing to do as soon as I get started.
Exactly. Once you get started. But so when you got done the first time, and you went out and decided, okay, the book's done, you're probably like all of us other authors. Now what? Did you go out? You had to go find a publisher, and you got the book. Is the book on Amazon? How can someone find your book?
Yes, it's on Amazon and it's on Barnes and Noble. Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. Yeah. There's quite a few steps involved with that as well. I just, like you said, you're done. You think you're done, but you're never done. There's always something else that you can do. And so my hats are always off towards authors. So would you say that your book was written for? Who was the intended audience for your book?
The intended audience originally was for anyone that's in martial arts. They can like look
Okay.
at they can learn from the steps. Being promoted to black belt, going to karate tournaments. The achievements of learning the blocks, punch, kicks, the strikes, and that sort of thing. But then I said to myself, this is not just necessarily geared towards someone that's in martial arts. Anyone that has a goal in mind, they can read this book and they can take something from it. Hey, this person, he wanted to do something, he wanted to be better at it, and he didn't give up, and he stayed and he stuck with it. So they can use that as well as an inspirational tool, to say, hey, whatever it is, you're singing, you're dancing, you're playing an instrument, whatever you want to do, hey, just never give up. Just continue to do your best.
So there's always steps for improvement, right? And I'm sure you encountered and failure along the way, and learning to
Absolutely.
get back up. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but my guess is that you did, right?
Absolutely. There's failures definitely along the way. I can tell you of one. Well, I tell you of many, but I'll just use one as an
Mhm.
example. Right? I started off going to karate tournaments when I became like possibly a green belt, like intermediate type um, skills. And we would go to karate tournaments here in Florida and all over the country. And every time I'd go, I would not win anything. It was the competition was just that tough. I'd go out there and I'll do my best. I'll come back the next time. I'll practice hard. I'll train. And I say, I know I'm going to win the trophy, and I just wouldn't win, and I'd have like 20 people inside my division, for green belt, for red belt, for brown belt, whatever belt it was. And they would only pick the first four people and everybody else, gets nothing. So I got disappointed and I stopped going. And then I became a black belt and I said, okay, hey, these guys, I was getting beat over all the time. And maybe because they had more experience or whatever it is, the judge just didn't see it in me. And I had more training at that time. I became a black belt. And I started, again, going back to tournaments. Then all of a sudden I started winning. I started winning in the fighting. I started winning in the forms. I started winning in the weapons, and I
Mhm.
had tons of trophies inside the house. And eventually I just had to give them away, whatever, because there was nowhere to store them. Now, at this point, I go to tournaments and I just compete. And if I win, it's great. If I lose, that's great too. You have to show good sportsmanship.
Yeah.
But what makes it real good for me is for a kid to come to me and say, "Hey, man, I liked how you did your form, or I liked how you did your rep and kata. That was awesome." That's the only inspiration that inspired me to say, "Hey, I got someone to actually, say, hey, they don't want to quit. They're gonna look up me and saw what I did, and that's inspired them to go on." So that's
Yeah.
what I.
I love, being inspired by that because um, none of us, as far as I've not found anyone who's had a perfect story that has never made it through life with some sort of obstacle. People have different types of obstacles. They may look different, and maybe we might think their obstacle isn't as big as ours, but it's an obstacle for them. And so to be able to relate to someone, or for someone to be able to relate to us, especially those, those young kids who maybe go and they fail or they don't win, and to be able to say, hey, I was there, get back up. It'll come to you. You just have to keep trying. You have to keep trying. And it's about what you're learning and what you're learning about yourself, not necessarily bringing home the trophy. Because like you said, you get so many after sometimes you start, what am I going to do with these things? Right.
Right, right, right. Yep. It's the main continue going on.
Yeah.
You succeed at life. Yeah.
And so the ability to relate to folks that are trying to overcome struggles, I would think would be very applicable because of those times in which you thought you were going to win but you didn't,
Correct. Correct. Absolutely.
and the disappointment that we have to deal with to get ourselves pull ourselves back up and move on.
Absolutely. That's like with everything in life. With a job, with getting a promotion, the whole nine. Yep.
So where do you think this is kind of out of the ballpark, totally out of left field? So where do you think your life would have been had you not found that karate school?
Oh, I'm sure I have no idea. It probably wouldn't have been the way I am now. I can tell you that. I credit
Well,
a
you probably
lot.
wouldn't. You wouldn't have
Yeah.
been in the karate hall book in the Hall of Fame. That's for sure.
No
Probably
doubt
right.
that would not have, no doubt that not would have happened. I credited it a lot. I've always grown up myself as a, type person to say that I know what I wanted to be in life. My job really is a network engineer, and I always wanted to be an engineer. Growing up, I didn't really hang with a whole lot of friends and stuff like that because they would be getting in trouble and the whole nine. They
Hmm.
get in trouble, get me in trouble. So my mom
Yep.
kind of like told me pretty much, hey, if you got in trouble, um, you're gonna be there by yourself, and I'm not gonna get you out. So that was the only thing that kept me grounded. Then when I got into martial arts, I saw that, hey, hey, I can be somebody. I can do something. I can take this and I can apply it to anything that I want in life. Far as with promotion on
Yeah.
work, it's going out and traveling,
Hmm.
seeing the world, and martial arts. It's a lifelong journey. And some people they don't understand that. Like I said again, once they get black belt, they think that's it and it's over. No, black belt, you're just beginning to start. And that's one thing my
Wow.
instructor instilled inside me. You're just beginning to
Wow.
learn, and you take what you learn. and you give back to the community to make this world a better.
Exactly. So, what other things have you been able to do other than give back to the school with karate?
What other things? Like I said again, we do some demonstration and stuff as well. Um, Anything that's involved with the community, if they would like to have demonstration, self-defense with women as well, teaching them, how to
Mhm.
defend themselves, an
Highly
attacker.
valuable. Hmm.
Yes, yes, we work with that as well, and seminars, try to work with that, and pretty much just training myself also, keep myself training, advanced stuff with other black belts, and learning different
Right.
things.
So one of the things I like to ask when I'm interviewing authors, and I think we kind of alluded to this, or you flat out said once, but I'm going to ask the question again today. Beyond the pages, do you have any plans for sequels or spin-offs or further exploration in the area of books? Let's talk for a minute about the couple of ideas that you've kind of already mentioned about possible future books. Which will be your next?
Well, I'm gonna update this one more time again because I've done some things in the past 2 years. I am actually going to be going to Japan in the near future this year, actually, to actually see where karate came from and actually get the real experience with the culture and everything like that. And again, my wife's asked me to write another book related to the kids to where they can understand it. So it doesn't have to be this technical, but on their level. And so I'm looking into doing that pretty soon. And then again, me and my wife, like I said, we love to travel. So we've been to 34 different countries. And
Wow.
yeah, I got a lot of pictures that I'm going to put into a book and getting there to retirement. So we have to, work on doing
Look
that.
ahead.
Maybe
Hmm.
also it'd be great to
Exactly.
write it. That you can do that. One other goal
Yeah.
that I have also is to travel around the world and teach martial arts too. And that's something that I'm working on. So
Well, I'd love to see you accomplish that. So, what would you say to someone who is starting out and they are considering writing a book? What kind of advice would you give to someone that's thinking about writing a book?
I would say get your thoughts together. Think exactly of what type of book that you want to write, whether it be a biography or autobiography or
Hmm.
fiction or nonfiction, that sort of thing.
Hmm.
Um, then kind of like have an outline of what you want to have the book entail. And then from that point on, just kind of like write a little bit. You're writing that I experience is everything is not going to come to you all at once. So you write a little bit, and then as the idea pops into you days later or weeks or months later, whatever, you give yourself a time frame also, by the way, because that's what I did. I said from this point on, 8 months, 9 months, I'm going to have this book finished, and I'm going to have everything together, and then I'm going to start shopping for a publisher and get it done. You just keep at it
Hmm.
until it's done.
Did you ever get discouraged when you was writing the book?
None at all, none at all, because I'm writing about myself, and so that was not even on my mind. It's a matter of just trying to remember everything and capture it all and put it in the book. And like I said again, after it was published, I thought about some other things and stuff like that, and I said, okay, yeah, I missed out on this. So every 2 years, I went on ahead and add what I missed out on, or something else happened, I included it.
Right. Which is so great about the day and age that we live in. We can very easily do that. 50 years ago, you would not have been able to just update your book.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, what about the same advice for someone who's considering, should I get involved with martial arts? What would be your advice to them be, male or female?
Male or female, my advice to them is to start it. Stop talking about it and do it. I started and didn't know nothing about martial arts, okay, other than watching it on the TV, stuff like that, the
Mhm.
video on the movie screen. Didn't know anything about it. Some people say, okay, well, I'm old or whatever. I can't do it or whatever. Or I'm timid or I have this going on. I have a discipline. I have a handicap or whatever that you want to use. That's all excuse. Just do what you can. Get started is the hardest part. And then from that point on, continuing, don't stop, don't give up. The older you get, if you told me maybe 30 or 40 years, oh, by the way, I have videos out there too. Tons of videos out there on YouTube. You can check them out. And also on the Instagram and TikTok, just type in Anthony Ferguson Karate and you can see it. So if you can see me about 20 years ago, you would see the power, the strength, and everything else. Now here I am, 56, 58 years old. Sorry, 58 years old. The will is still there, but the power is, it's going away. So I still
It
get out there.
happens to us, doesn't it?
Exactly.
For sure.
So I get out there and I still mix it up with young kids or whatever, and tournaments and stuff
Mhm.
like that. But
Mhm.
just having in mind to say, hey, I want to do this, and you begin the process and do what you can. If you can only do so much and stop. Don't hurt yourself. And then whenever you can continue on. Because
Exactly.
it has so many benefits for you, that you can use in your life. Teach you weight control, teach you discipline, coordination, self defense, concentration. Those are just some of the things that you get out of karate, but there's much more.
Yeah. So, Mr. Ferguson, Mr. Anthony Ferguson, I have really enjoyed learning about karate today. Like I said, all I knew was karate chop, and that was about it. I never been involved with it and never really known anyone who had any type of relationship with karate. So I didn't learn everything by far, but I at least learned quite a bit today, and it was much more interesting than I thought it was going to be honest. And so I appreciate you sharing your heart. I appreciate you sharing your heart to give back. I appreciate you showing how we can come against adversity and we can stand up and learn something about ourselves and we can keep going. Such great things that are involved in karate and that were involved and are still involved in your life. And so it was lovely to meet you today. And I'm so thankful that we got you to come on and to share with us today on the author spotlight. So I just want to say to those of you who are watching, be sure and check out his book, The Life in the My Life and the Art of Shorin Ryu, and that's by Anthony Ferguson. You got to check that out. Look on Instagram and YouTube for his information more about him. And I know he'd love to have you. And so we'd also like to say thank you for joining us today on the Author Spotlight. And it's hosted by your Author Hub. And we will see you next time. Have a great day.
And thank you. I appreciate it.